So today we're going to walk through the process of designing your final portfolio slash website. So traditionally, creatives and artists would have a physical book portfolio that you take to interviews or to show to clients, but for the most part, that has become irrelevant within the professional sphere. And so most professionals in photography or other creative arts usually maintain a website or some sort of similar hosted online service so that they can showcase their work. So you're going to go ahead and open up Wix.com and create an account. So I'm just going to show you how that's done here. You can use whatever email you'd like. If you're planning on working professionally, I highly suggest starting a email that is dedicated solely to your business. In this case, I'm just using an old school email since I already have a website that's registered to my other email. Okay, so now it's going to walk you through some questions of what type of website you're going to be building. So for this application, just click for yourself. It's a private website you're building. For, I'm assuming all of you, this will be your first time designing a website, so just click that. It'll give you a little bit more tutorials as you're walking through the process. And then click photography. Okay, so this is going to open up some template options for you. So these are basically pre-built websites that all you have to do is plug in your information. So I suggest looking through all of the options before committing to one, just trying to make sure that you have one that really fits the aesthetic of your photos. The things you're going to look at is the style of the website. Does it match the type of photography you're trying to do? Like if you're planning on focusing more on weddings, look at the ones that are focused on that. If you're doing more like street photography, find one of the templates that gets geared that direction. Then ask yourself, do you feel like the fonts that are selected fit your aesthetic? Do you feel like the colors fit well? Then if you want to take a closer look, you just click on preview, as I've done with this one right here, and it will open up this sample website like so. I'm just going to click through this website here and see what the layout looks like. I like what I'm seeing for what I'm trying to do here today. We're going to stick with this one for now, but again, take your time, look through a couple different options, and figure out which one works the best for you and your images. Okay, so once you've found the template that you'd like to commit to, you're just going to go up to the top corner here where it says edit this, and that will open it in the Wix editor, which is the editing interface for your Wix website. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, there's some little tutorials that'll pop up. If you're feeling unconfident with your ability to use this program, those are great. If you feel like you can just dive in, go for it. So you start off by editing the name on the main page here. Putting my name in, I'm going to do a little bit of tweaking to get the words lined up and spaced exactly how I want them to. Okay, so after we've finished that, now I'm going to go on and change the images. It says change media there, that are in this first slideshow on the home page of the website. So before I started this process, I first collected all of the photos that I want to potentially put on my website and put them into a folder on my desktop or wherever else you want to keep your images. That way I don't have to spend time sorting through lots of different folders trying to find the images that I feel like best represent my work. So as you just saw there, I selected all of the photos in that album that I already sorted through. And the advantage of doing this is then all of these images will now be uploaded to your Wix files. Your site files is what they're called. And so whenever you're editing at on any of the different pages in your website, you can pull in any of these photos, and it saves you time from having to individually upload photos every time you are creating a new slideshow or adding images to various pages within your website. Okay, so this is going to take a few minutes for it to upload. So while it's uploading, I wanted to talk about two things that I want you to focus on as you are selecting which photos to upload to your website. And that falls under two words. One is they need to be comprehensive of your style, but they also need to be cohesive. So let's talk about what those two things mean. Okay, so comprehensive means that it shows the breadth of your capabilities as a photographer. What this doesn't mean is that you have a little bit of everything regardless of its quality. You want to show the breadth of the things that you are good at. So make sure that you are including only the best of your photos, because one or two okay photos can water down the impact of 10 excellent photos. So as I've mentioned to many of you in this class, becoming a good photographer, becoming a professional photographer is just as much about understanding how to take a good photo as well as how to curate or select a good photo from among those that you have taken. Okay, so let's talk about what it means to have a cohesive portfolio of images. This means that they demonstrate unity, that they have a unified color palette, a unified general aesthetic, and a unified genre. That means, are you focusing on portrait photography? Are you focusing on landscapes? Are you doing travel? Maybe you're doing two of those, but you have a specific direction that you're headed in as a photographer. Now, for my Photo 1 students, I understand a lot of you are still getting into photography, so your images are probably a little bit all over the place. Try to select as much of a unified body of work as possible, but I understand that you might not have a specific genre with a strong portfolio yet. For my Photo 2 and Photo 3 students, I'm expecting you to start developing, if not already have, a very clear genre that you've decided to work in. Again, you can maybe pick two, but more than that, it starts to become jack of all trades, master of none. So you really need to find a way to specialize your work, at least in the way that you display it on your website. This also carries over to, again, what template you choose, making sure that the template is in harmony with your images. What you don't want is a template that's very romantic and cursive fonts and things like that, but then your style of photography is all about maybe rock and roll or really grungy street photography. Make sure that the entire visual experience works well together. Okay, so now that all of our files are uploaded, we're going to select the ones that we want in this homepage gallery. Now, for some reason, some of mine aren't showing thumbnails. I think my computer's been loading kind of slow lately, so just going by the name here. I think I remember which one that one is. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to delete the stock photos that were set into the template. So one thing I'll be looking for when I'm grading your websites is that you have deleted all the stock photos. Now we're giving the website a name, so typically just your name, maybe photography or something like that, but nothing complicated. Okay, so deleting the rest of the stock photos and adding my 3 images to this slideshow. Okay, I'm going to switch out one of them because I didn't really like what it was doing. There we go, we'll do this one instead. Okay, so I'm going to arrange them now into the order that I want them to show on the main page and click done. There you go, we have our main page done. Oh, one last thing, let's edit this text down here. This would be a great place to put a statement about your perspective as an artist, or in my case, I'm going to add a quote by a photographer that inspires me. Quotes like this can get cheesy a little quickly, so just use them very judiciously. Make sure they don't feel just like a Pinterest thing you've added on kind of as an afterthought. There should be meaning and purpose to all of the text that is on your website. It shouldn't just be filling space. If you need to fill space, make the image bigger or something like that. Don't just come up with filler text. Okay, so now that we have the home page mostly finished, we're going to go up to the Site menu and start editing which pages we'd like to have shown on our website. So the 3 pages you're required to have are a home page, at least one page with your main content, and another page that has your biography, contact information, and CV, which we'll talk about in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and delete all these extra pages. In my case, I'm going to have 2 content pages, one for nature photos, one for travel photography, and then a home page and an about page. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go and edit. In this case, we're on the nature page now. So pretty much the same as with the home page. I'm going to go in and manage media, add the images that I want. I'm just going to go through and select all of the nature photos that I have in this album of curated images that I built. Okay, so now that I have all the images here, I'm going to organize them into the order that I want them to show in the slideshow. Now something I like to do is to create sort of a rainbow or gradient of color, because then it creates a very smooth visual experience as you're scrolling through the slide deck. Now this isn't a rule of thumb. I'm not going to be necessarily grading you on doing this particular technique, but it's just a way that I like to organize my images. Something you can consider as you're organizing yours. Okay, so I'm noticing that this one landscape here with a really bright blue sky doesn't really fit in with the rest. Even though it's an excellent image, fairly good representation of my work, it's just not fitting well in with the rest. So I'm going to delete it, and that's something you need to be able to do as you're building this, is know when just to leave something out. Even if it's great work, if it's not working for the page or the website as a whole, leave it out, because it will detract from the strengths of other images or other elements. Okay, so if at any point you want to preview what your website's going to look like once it's published, just click the preview button as you saw there, and you can interact with the website as it'll be visible to the public. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the editor and keep working. Okay, so we're going to click on this slideshow and click on settings. And we're going to customize a few of the ways that it shows up on the website, because I wasn't really liking how it was cropping everything to landscape orientation. It really kind of killed the composition of the more portrait-oriented images. We're going to go over to settings here. Then we're going to click on layout and then customize layout. Scroll down to where it says image ratio and responsive. And I want it to show about 3 images at any time. And then I want it to have the thumbnails fit rather than be cropped. Okay, so now to check and make sure that this is working the way that I want it to, I'm going to go back to preview and just scan through my slide deck. And there you go. Our profile images are now uncropped. Back to the editor now. So the last page we're going to, one last thing I want to show you. So with these galleries, a few of the things you can do is you can change the various settings you have in here, but particularly you can change the ability people have to share or to download your images. So you want to make sure downloads are off, and you want to make sure that sharing is available so that people want to share your work on social media, they can. Okay, so now we're going over to the About page. This is where you're going to put your biography. So I'm just going to type something up really quickly here. You're going to want to share what your philosophy about photography is, what influences your work, a little bit about yourself, but try to keep that to a minimum, make it much more about your approach to photography as an art form rather than, I was born on this day, on a cold, windy night, blah, blah, blah. Keep that to a minimum. Focus on more the professional side of things. You also don't want to mention that you're a student, even if you are one, because that kind of takes away from any professionality people might see you with. You also want to make sure you spell check all of your work, because the last thing you want to do is appear unprofessional due to a minor spelling error. I have Grammarly installed on my computer, so it checks as I type. And you can also just have a friend read over it. Just make sure that you pay attention to those little details. So I'm just filling in my contact information. Again, this is a great example of why it's good to have a professional email. That way it's not just kind of one of your random personal ones or a school email. For the sake of this project, you can just use your school email. I'm not expecting you to have all the professional stuff set up, but I would highly encourage it if you are planning on pursuing photography more seriously. Okay, so we have our About page done. So I want to show you what a CV looks like so that you know what it is. We're not going to type a sample one out here, but I'll take you to my actual website. Go to the About page, and we're going to scroll down here, and we have what's called a curriculum vitae or CV. So basically it's like an expanded resume that shows a timeline of all of the various activities or positions that you've been part of, or awards you've been given, exhibitions you've been in that are relevant to your work field. So as you can tell, I don't have every single thing that I've ever done as a job on here, but I do have all the details of various shows I've been in because that is relevant to the work that I do as a practicing artist. Just kind of scroll here quickly. Now, scholarships, things like that as well. I recognize that most of you won't have much to put on here yet, and that is totally fine. It takes time and effort to build up that aspect of your professional profile, but you have to start somewhere, and by at least making sure that there's a space on your website for that as you continue to build it, then you're setting yourself up for a better future. So I would suggest typing that up on a separate document and then adding it here at the bottom of your About page. And the way you do that, you just come over here where the plus button is, click on text, give it a title, give it some content, maybe put a box around it or something, and there you go. Okay, last of all, we're going to just change this image here, put a picture of yourself. Just going to upload that from my computer. Make sure that it is a professional level photo. Don't just upload, a selfie you took with your cell phone, because again, any mediocre or subpar content on your website will draw away from the professionality of everything else that you do. Okay, it's uploading. Once that's uploaded, then we'll just add it to the page, and that will be our last page here. I'm just going to change the orientation a little bit so I don't have quite such a weird cropping. Perfect. Now let's change that really quick since I wrote my bio in third person. Third person is considered more professional in fine art spheres, but when it comes to wedding and event photography, a lot of people will write theirs in first person, so it just kind of depends on what direction you're planning on going with your photography. So I'm back in the preview viewer, just scrolling through quick. Again, I didn't build the travel page just because you already saw me build one, so you understand how that works. But we've got our three main elements that are required: a home page, content, and about. And now we're going to go back to the editor, click Publish, which makes your website public. Click on View Website, and that will take you to your actual website that is now available and searchable on the general internet. So to turn this in, you're just going to copy and paste that link, go over to Canvas, come to the Final Portfolio website assignment, scroll down to the bottom. Yours will give you a submit option, and you will submit it there. And that is it. Make sure that you submit the link to your published website and not the link to the editor dialog or the editor page of Wix, because if you send me the link to your editor page, I won't be able to access it because that's only viewable to you after you've logged in with your email and your password. So make sure that it is published and that you send me that published link on Canvas. Otherwise, I won't be able to grade you for that project and you will receive a 0. If you have any questions about submitting that, or if you want to make sure that it's working, don't hesitate to reach out to me in advance. I'm always here to help.